Ripa and Consuelos have long been admired not only for their natural chemistry on screen but for the authentic life they have built behind the cameras. Their relationship has felt personal to viewers, a rare blend of public performance and private intimacy, where laughter and tenderness often coexist with the ordinary pressures of life. Recently, Kelly courageously addressed a deeply human truth on live television, transforming what could have been a scandal into a moment of honesty, grace, and reflection. It was a reminder that even in the public eye, vulnerability, resilience, and emotional intelligence can guide the way we understand love, partnership, and personal growth. Her words resonated precisely because they were sincere, grounded in lived experience, and rooted in the shared reality of navigating complex relationships. The morning of revelation. The morning Kelly chose to speak publicly about Mark's departure carried a quiet tension, unlike any typical broadcast. The studio, usually alive with rehearsed jokes and cheerful banter, seemed suspended in anticipation, as if aware that something deeply personal was about to surface. Viewers, fans, and even social media speculated about what might be revealed, yet Kelly chose honesty over spectacle. She acknowledged the subtle accumulation of everyday pressures that had shaped this turning point, rather than presenting a single dramatic event. In doing so, she invited audiences to witness the intricacy of personal relationships, demonstrating that change often evolves quietly, almost imperceptibly, before it becomes unavoidable. Her measured reflection transformed curiosity into empathy, turning a moment that could have been sensationalized into a human story about care, patience, and understanding. The courage to speak. Going on air and sharing personal truths is never easy, particularly when millions are watching, and Kelly understood the weight of this choice. She had rehearsed what she would say in private, preparing to balance honesty with composure, vulnerability with dignity. Speaking on live television was not about self-promotion. It was an act of respect for both her reality and her audience. As she spoke, the room seemed to lean in, sensing the authenticity and intention behind her words. This courage allowed viewers to witness vulnerability presented with grace, bridging the gap between the persona on screen and the person behind it. By sharing her experience thoughtfully, Kelly modeled how transparency and empathy can coexist with professionalism, creating a rare moment of connection between celebrity and audience that transcends entertainment. Explaining the subtle drifts. Kelly described the subtle, everyday shifts that contributed to the situation. Late nights spent in separate rooms, small changes in routines, and the gradual drifting apart of attention to minor but meaningful details, all built over time. These were not dramatic betrayals, but quiet forces that slowly reshaped their connection. Her explanation made the situation relatable, showing that relationships often evolve due to cumulative pressures rather than sudden upheavals. She provided language for viewers to understand how love, attention, and commitment can be affected by the ordinary demands of life, emphasizing that awareness and reflection are key to maintaining connection. In sharing these small but significant details, Kelly normalized a conversation about the human reality of long-term relationships, inviting empathy rather than judgment. Humanizing intimacy. Rather than turning the story into a narrative of blame, Kelly presented it as a study in intimacy and mutual respect. She avoided portraying Mark as a villain or herself as a martyr, instead highlighting how two people navigate life together with honesty, empathy, and care. Through anecdotes, humor, and subtle confessions, she demonstrated that endings do not require resentment or animosity, and that love and respect can continue even when paths diverge. Her narrative encouraged audiences to consider the complexity of relationships, showing that personal growth, communication, and mutual understanding are often more powerful than the grand gestures that dominate media portrayals. By emphasizing accountability and compassion, Kelly reframed the conversation around relational change into one of dignity and emotional intelligence. Impact on the audience. Kelly's transparency resonated deeply with viewers, eliciting introspection and reflection rather than mere curiosity. Letters and messages poured in, many from people grappling with similar life transitions, sharing how her honesty allowed them to approach their own challenges with compassion for themselves and others. Her words became a form of guidance, modeling that change need not be destructive and that relationships can transform without losing connection or respect. By observing vulnerability expressed with courage, audiences were offered permission to embrace their own emotions and make thoughtful choices in the face of uncertainty. This moment became a collective experience, demonstrating the quiet power of honesty and self-awareness to inspire empathy and reflection beyond the confines of celebrity culture. Industry reflections. Kelly's candid approach sparked conversation within the television industry about the balance between public performance and private life. Producers and networks were reminded that authenticity comes at an emotional cost and that the human element behind the camera must be valued. Discussions emerged about the pressures placed on on-screen couples and the emotional labor required to present intimacy for entertainment purposes. Therapists and counselors noted a rise in inquiries about navigating public-private boundaries, illustrating how Kelly's openness had real-world impact beyond the audience. Her actions suggested that industries built on visibility could benefit from prioritizing care, authenticity, and respect for emotional well-being, reinforcing that personal boundaries are essential even in highly publicized professions. Redefining life after transition. Following the announcement, Kelly and Mark cultivated a new rhythm, blending privacy and intentionality. Public appearances were carefully considered, while private life became the space for reflection, family connection, and mutual support. On air, Kelly's energy shifted subtly. Humor was paired with warmth and tenderness, reflection was intertwined with lightheartedness, and vulnerability became an authentic part of her presence. Life after relational change was framed not as a story of loss, but as an opportunity to cultivate new forms of communication, collaboration, and understanding. By embracing this balance, Kelly and Mark illustrated that partnership can continue to evolve in ways that honor both individuals' needs, highlighting the possibility of maintaining deep connection while pursuing personal growth. Personal growth and reflection. During this period, Kelly invested in introspection and personal development. She engaged in therapy, confided in trusted friends, and deepened her involvement with her children. She explored how love could evolve, recognizing that endings are not failures, but transitions that open space for self-discovery. By acknowledging both grief and relief, fear and empowerment, she demonstrated a nuanced understanding of emotion. Kelly's reflection allowed her to untangle habitual patterns, listen to her own voice, and create boundaries that fostered personal growth. Her journey provided a blueprint for how individuals can navigate life changes with dignity, emotional depth, and self-respect, showing that resilience is cultivated through both courage and introspection. Conclusion: courage, honesty, and legacy. The story of Kelly Ripa and Mark Consuelos transcends celebrity gossip, offering lessons in courage, honesty, and the complexity of human relationships. By addressing a deeply personal situation with grace, Kelly transformed what could have been scandal into a model of emotional literacy. Their journey illustrates that love, respect, and care can continue even when paths diverge, and that endings can coexist with ongoing connection. Kelly's approach demonstrated the power of transparency balanced with privacy, humor blended with reflection, and vulnerability expressed with dignity. Her courage left a lasting impression, reminding viewers that emotional intelligence, authenticity, and empathy are as impactful as any performance, and that sharing the imperfect truth can inspire, connect, and guide others in their own lives.